Hi guys, it's Siobhan the Dragon and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be covering part 3 of the haunting case of Huang Na. And it's obvious that Tok Lin is guilty, but will the prosecutors be able to put him behind bars? That is the question. As I'm watching this, I hope we get justice for Huang Na and that Tok Lin gets put where he belongs, behind bars. So let's get to it. This is going to be the case, the court trial, the trial of Tok Lin and basically the wrap up to this case, talking about events that happened after this case. So let's get to it.
July 11th, 2005, the prosecution charged Tok Lin with murder. They presented evidence from 76 witnesses, a variety of physical evidence, and a video reenactment in which Tok Lin demonstrated the events. Based on forensic reports, the prosecution summarized the case as follows. At around 1:40 p.m. on October 10th, 2004, Tok Lin lured Huang Na into the warehouse on the 15th floor of Block 13 at the wholesale market under the pretense of playing hide-and-seek. Once inside, after eating mangoes, Huang Na was stripped of her clothes, tied up with rope, and sexually assaulted. To silence her, the defendant suffocated her by pressing his hands over her mouth and nose until she went limp and lifeless. He then stomped and kicked her head multiple times to ensure she was no longer able to resist. Next, he wrapped her body in 9 layers of plastic bags, placed it inside a cardboard box, and sealed it with tape. After completing the packaging, around 5:30 p.m., he borrowed a colleague's motorcycle, returned to his apartment, and went about his day as usual. It wasn't until about
I seriously can't imagine how someone can be so despicable and so evil, to just do all of these things to a little child and just go about their day as normal. It's sickening. It's disgusting. Yeah, imagine someone doing that. It's either they're really evil or they are just super psycho.
about 8 p.m., that he took the box containing Huang Na's body to Telok Blangah Hill Park, where he hastily buried it. He returned the motorcycle to his colleague around 9 p.m. Faced with these charges, Tok Lin remained silent throughout the trial. However, his lawyer pointed out 2 arguments that could either prove his innocence or at least reduce his sentence. According to the defense attorney, while the prosecution had evidence, witnesses, and the defendant's own statements, there was no direct proof that Tok Lin was the one who caused Huang Na to stop breathing. To clarify further, as mentioned earlier, it could not be conclusively determined whether Huang Na's airway obstruction was due to being suffocated by having her mouth and nose covered or from inhaling vomit during a seizure. And even the cause of the seizure itself could not be definitively attributed to external trauma or an epileptic episode, as seizures can sometimes occur.
Listen, you want to skip this ad. I would too. But what if I told you there's a skip ads for everybody?
I skipped ads.
Spontaneously, even if the family had no history of epilepsy. Additionally, Tok Lin's defense team of 5 lawyers brought in a psychiatrist to testify about his mental instability. According to this psychiatrist, Tok Lin exhibited symptoms consistent with schizophrenia, such as a lack of emotional response to Huang Na's death and delusional thoughts, like inventing a story about 3 Chinese men kidnapping the victim. Moreover, when his IQ was tested, Tok Lin's score was only 76, significantly lower than the average IQ in Malaysia at the time, about 92, in Singapore, about 105, and even lower than the global average IQ in 2004, which was around 83. However, bringing in a psychiatrist didn't seem to help the defense. The prosecution quickly countered, stating that while Tok Lin Hao's IQ appeared to be well below average, mental impairment is typically only recognized when the IQ is below 70. Furthermore, neither he nor his family had any history of mental illness. The prosecution also pointed out that Tok Lin Hao's behavior before and after the crime showed no noticeable differences, indicating that he had a very steady psychological state. Another critical point was how he disposed of evidence to cover up his crime. Instead of discarding Huang Na's clothes in the market trash bins, he chose to dispose of them in a location without cameras, showing calculated effort in concealing his actions. After wrapping the victim in 9 layers of plastic bags and placing her in a cardboard box, Tok Lin Hao remained calm enough to carefully seal the box with tape. When the police questioned him for the first time, he was fully aware that his actions were wrong and needed to be concealed, which is why he was able to lie to the police without hesitation. He even had the presence of mind to steal a police officer's pass to flee from Singapore to Malaysia. As for his capacity and motive for the crime, when police investigated Tok Lin Hao's workplace, both his superiors and colleagues mentioned that he had previously tied up a girl with rope to intimidate her because he found her noisy and annoying.
Oh, wow.
Additionally, his relationship with Huang Na wasn't always peaceful, as there were a few occasions when he became so angry that he physically hit her.
What?
Therefore, it's not unreasonable to suspect that on that day, Huang Na might have done something that triggered him to act violently again. After intense court proceedings on August 27, 2005, Tok Lin Hao was found guilty and sentenced to death.
Yes. You know, it's obvious. You know, it's obvious. Like he did the crime. He concealed the crime. He didn't just dump the body anywhere. He wrapped it up carefully and meticulously to prevent the smell of a decaying body getting out. He was able to, he knew that his actions were wrong because he lied to the police the first time. And the second time, he had the presence of mind and the smartness to trick the police. He was even able to flee Singapore and get back to Malaysia. And it's obvious that he could have done this because he could have, it's obvious that the prosecutor's case against him, what they said he did, is very possible and very plausible because he has done that before to a girl that annoyed him. Just have to, I just want to move this in just in case YouTube flags me for some reason. Just worried that YouTube might flag this video because it's a reaction video and I'm using footage directly from the video, so it's better if it doesn't look exactly like the video. Anyway.
In January 2006, he filed an appeal. The case was reviewed again, but the original sentence was upheld. However, his family could not accept the verdict and filed for clemency with the president of Singapore. After waiting for over 8 months, their efforts were in vain, and the sentence was carried out on November 3, 2006. As for Huang Na, her funeral was attended by many people who brought flowers, snacks, and her favorite Hello Kitty toys to send her off to her final resting place. But if the story ended there, we would miss a highly controversial postscript. After the case was closed, instead of fading from public attention, negative stories about Huang Na's mother, Huang Shuying, began surfacing online. Going back to the time when Huang Shuying divorced her first husband, she had come to Singapore on a short-term visa. However, she overstayed her visa to work illegally, was eventually arrested, sentenced to prison, and deported back to her home country after serving her sentence. However, the thought of leaving behind a developed country like Singapore and returning to the rural areas of Fujian with fewer opportunities to earn a living was too difficult for Huang Shuying to accept. A fellow inmate reportedly advised her to burn off her fingerprints by pressing all 10 of her fingers against a red-hot iron bar, making it impossible for
That's
authorities
super
to trace
smart.
her. Later,
Really
when she
smart.
learned that Singapore had introduced policies to attract skilled talent, she paid 8,000 Singapore dollars to a human trafficking syndicate to illegally re-enter
Wow.
Singapore. However, Huang Na, having no criminal record, was still able to enter Singapore legally.
Wow.
After this dark chapter in Huang Shuying's past was revealed, the police immediately investigated and confirmed the story to be true. Huang Shuying was forced to return to Fujian with her daughter Huang Na's ashes, but the story didn't end there.
Oh.
Rumors circulated online about Huang Na's mother and stepfather's circumstances after returning to Fujian, painting a very different picture than what the public had imagined. It was said that during the investigation into Huang Na's case, many people had donated money and goods in support of the family. Allegedly, this money was used to build a 4-story mansion, complete with a large garage on a small man-made hill, as well as many other luxurious amenities. Upon learning of this, many people began to express support for Huang Na's ashes, but the story didn't end there. Rumors circulated online about Huang Na's mother and stepfather's circumstances after returning to Fujian, painting a very different picture than what the public had imagined. It was said that during the investigation into Huang Na's case, many people had donated money and goods in support of the family. Allegedly, this money was used to build a 4-story mansion, complete with a large garage on a small man-made hill, as
Wow. 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 Parents, I'm not a parent. I'm not a parent. But do you think that if your child had passed away, would you use the money that people donated to you to build a 4-story mansion? Would you do that? I know the outside public is right now thinking that's terrible of Huang Na's mother. That is really terrible. But I'm not a parent, so I don't know. But I think it's ridiculous. I think that's terrible. I think if somebody donated money and if my child had passed away and someone donated money to me, I would give that money to charity or something, to help other kids or save another child's life. To build a mansion, that seems crazy.
well as many other luxurious amenities. Upon learning of this, many people began to express support for Tok Lin, believing they had been wrong to side with Huang Shuying. Some even speculated that the entire incident had been orchestrated by Huang Shuying and her
Wow.
husband. Many criticized her for being an irresponsible mother, allowing her 8-year-old daughter to become so independent and leaving her alone in Singapore while she comfortably traveled back to China. In response to these accusations, Huang Shuying claimed that most of the donated money was used to build a proper resting place for her daughter, Huang Na. She also mentioned that their home had
A proper resting place. Really? She's not there.
only been expanded by 1 floor to provide a view of Huang Na's gravesite. Additionally, the remaining funds were donated to improve infrastructure in their village and to support charitable organizations, aiming to spread positive values to more people. However, the controversy surrounding the couple continued to escalate. But no matter what the truth may be, the fact remains that little Huang Na's life was tragically cut short at just 8 years old.
Wow. So I have to take this in, you know. This is the second time I'm watching this case, and it's still as heavy as the first time. Okay. Tok Lin Hao is a psychopath, a maniac, uh, whatever you want to use to describe Tok Lin Hao. He did those things. Those were his actions. But now let's go back to Huang Na's mother, right? What do you think about her? She improved the infrastructure in a house using the money that Huang Na had. What do you think of that? Then there's the thing of leaving your 8-year-old daughter alone in a foreign country. Yes, she was sort of independent. Yes, she was able to do things on her own. But she still was an 8-year-old girl. What do you think about that? What do you, as parents, if there's any parents in the chat, in the comments, what do you think about Huang Na's mother's actions, leaving Huang Na alone in a foreign country and going back to China? What do you think about that? I think that the other child, Huang Shuying, the other child of hers, was with the dad. So that child was fine. I think that if she had to go back, she could have waited for Huang Na's school to be on vacation and taken Huang Na with her instead of doing these things. And then there's the smuggling illegally across the border, you know, paying money to a black market dealer and taking herself and Huang Na across the border. What do you think about that? Because that also sounds really dangerous. Either way, whoever is to blame, you know, obviously Tok Lin Hao was the man who committed the deed, but her mom is also not without blame. However, we can't change what happened here. An 8-year-old girl was assaulted, molested, and killed. It's a gruesome, gruesome story, and this story really scarred the people of Singapore, Malaysia, and China for years. What do you think of the story? Comment down below. I personally found it to be really, really horrific and haunting. Guys, comment down below your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next video.